What's poppin', everybody? It's your boy Snowy Kurama, and I am your coach of the Season 5 Chicago White Sox for the WPF, or the World Pokemon Federation, in case you like that better. And I am here for my Week 7 matchup against Dawson and the Quebec Snordiques. Not gonna lie, I got a lot of jitters for this match. Again, I'm recording before the match this time, as to not give away too much with my speech, because I feel like I do that sometimes. So here we are. And also, I come off fresh with just building this team with some friends' help, so very in tune to what my moms do this time, instead of being like, oh, I don't know, tee hee hee hee, because that's not exactly great. So, like this video, please, and subscribe if you haven't. It really helps me out, of course, only if you would like to. And let's just jump in to what my opponent has on his Squizzly squad. He's got a Tornadus, Gengar, Bronzong, Blastoise, Tangela, Spiritomb, Victini, Haxorus, Comfey, Mamoswine, and Armaldo. So the first thing that I'm noticing about this team is it is a very Hydreigon week. With the exception of this thing and this thing, Hydreigon basically has coverage for everything. Well, I guess also Spiritomb as well, but I mean, it doesn't resist Hydreigon. The only thing it really resists is Poison and Normal, and I think one other thing, Fighting. And then everything else is neutral with the exception of Fairy, which is super effective, so it basically doesn't resist Hydreigon at all. So these two mons right here are faster than everything on my team. Well, not really. Gengar is slower than Whimsicott, but Tornadus is faster than everything on my team. And regular Blastoise is allowed to have Shell Smash, while Mega Blastoise cannot. So I've got to really watch out for Shell Smash Blastoise. But of course, in draft, we prepare for all these things, and I think we prepared for it pretty decently. I'm scared of it, though. I'm not gonna lie. Because Blastoise's attack stat and special attack are very similar to each other, so he could just straight up run like Naughty or Rash, considering that the defense stat is a little higher than Spadef, so I don't think he'd be losing much if he went minus Spadef and then just ran a mixed set, or maybe even did physical set, since it has Earthquake, Liquidation from the DLC, and Ice Punch, just to name a couple of moves that it gets on the physical side. That it could all, and then special, you know, it's a Blastoise, so it has lots of pretty good special moves. This thing's more than likely going to be his Helmet Mon out of everything. It's usually a bulky water, but, you know, Torn has Helmet on regular sets, so I could totally see Torn being the Helmet Mon. Bronzong, not likely. Spiritomb, I guess, maybe. Also, this is for Melmetal, by the way. I didn't really specify. Also, Scarf Mamoswine is very scary, so gotta watch out for that as well. Let's just go ahead and see what we're cooking up with in the lab. We got Hologun, the Hydreigon, Choice Specs set. We have Dark Pulse, Draco Meteor, Fire Blast, and Flash Cannon. Dark Pulse is here for all of his dark weaknesses, which are a lot considering that his team has 2 ghosts on it. It's Gengar. Bronzong is 2-hit KO'd by it as well. We also have Spiritomb and Victini that would not appreciate it, and that looks to be it on that front. Draco Meteor is just a solid neutral attack for everything on his team, with the exception of Comfey and Bronzong, and it's also Stab and very strong on specs, so it's gonna hurt a lot. Plus Haxorus doesn't exactly like Draco Meteor. Fire Blast, that's for the Tangela, and then we also have Flash Cannon, because he indeed has a Fairy type. Up next is Big Nut, the Melmetal, holding the Shuckleberry with Sub, Double Iron Bash, Darkest Lariat, and Rock Slide. Darkest Lariat is here because of said ghost types and dark weaknesses as well. We have Rock Slide on the team because, since I mentioned Torn possibly having the Rocky Helmet, Rock Slide gives us a super effective hit on it, and we're not taking the unnecessary Rocky Helmet damage, even though Double Iron Bash does 70% at the max to your standard run-of-the-mill Pivot Torn. Rock Slide does about half, and we don't take the Double Iron Bash damage. So that's pretty good. We have our usual SPDF set because we have the substitute on our side, so... We also have the Shuckaberry because the plan with the Mamoswine is that it Earthquakes us first, and then we sub up, and then we Double Iron Bash it, which will kill, or if he decides to switch out, something else is taking the bash, and then we have a sub up, so not too bad of a plan. Definitely makes Melmetal very key, unfortunately, so we can't exactly just switch around willy-nilly because it's specified for something huge. And it's Melmetal. Up next is our Screens Rotom, Havoc the Rotom with the Light Clay with, of course, dual screens, Defog and Volt Switch. This was originally going to be Will-O-Wisp so I can better take care of the Mamoswine and the Haxorus, but I didn't have Defog once the team was built, so this thing had to have Defog. That's kind of the sucky thing about my team that I'm noticing is that Rotom is much better than Xatu at everything, and as a result, it has to be my Defogger. So that's not really great. Not unfortunately, but fortunately for me, there are free agent switches that I can make later on. And I have all of mine up still. I think we have 5 at the most. So I could definitely make some moves. It's max defense so that we can take defensive attacks because a lot of his team is very, very scarily physically offensive. Like Victini and Haxorus I'm very scared of, as well as the Mamoswine. There's also Blastoise, but we have a Blissey, as you see on the screen, so there's that too. Speaking of Blissey, this is our rocker. We have the leftovers, basic, same set as our Rotom, but we have Soft Boiled, Toxic, and Seismic Toss as well. You know, it's your basic Blissey. It does what it needs to do. It spreads status and heals itself and is annoying as shit, and that's really what Blissey does. Up next is Bengal Art Incineroar Choice Scarf set. We have Intimidate with Flare Blitz, Knockoff, Parting Shot, and Fake Out. With these EVs, we are EV'd to outspeed a Gengar with our Scarf if it's not Scarfed, because the likelihood of Gengar being Scarfed is not very high looking at our matchup. We have the rest in HP. Of course, we have max attack so that we can deal as much damage as we possibly can with our offensive moves. Parting Shot, of course, is here to help against big threats that I've mentioned before and lower their stats, which is very nice considering that we also have the late screen support. And we have Fake Out, which I know is weird. Scarfed Fake Out. That kind of seems redundant and stupid considering that I'll be scarfed into Fake Out for the rest of the time Incineroar is out there. But rest assured, viewer, that there is a plan for this Fake Out, and I'm about to get to it with our very, very last team member, Pony Island Arkeldeo, Assault Vest with Scald, Secret Sword, Air Slash, and Icy Wind. These EVs let us outspeed non-scarfed base 100s like Victini and... there's something else that's base 100 on this team. Haxorus is less. I'm going to go ahead and check. 121, 110, 33. It looks like... oh, it's Comfey. I keep forgetting that thing is fast as dick. But yeah, Comfey and Victini are the only things that... are the fastest things, I should say, that are worth Keldeo outspeeding, so there's no point in having more speed than that. We have our special attack maxed out so that we can do as much damage as we can with our 4 offensive moves, and then the rest of our stats are in SPDF, because I just learned this today, that investing more in SPDF rather than HP is better to maximize your special bulk with the Assault Vest. I guess it makes sense if you think about it. I usually just default to raising our HP because it also raises our defense stat, just as an effect of raising HP. But if you put it in SPDF, then it helps your Assault Vest better. And also making your HP is better even, so that you don't lose out on Assault Vest bulk, which is weird that HP is at an odd number, but I was assured that putting it all in SPDF is fine anyway. The calcs against the Shell Smashed Blastoise do close to half if I remember correctly, to Keldeo with Aura Sphere. So what we can do after that is Secret Sword, do a crap ton of damage. We can even switch this thing in on a shell smashing, like on the smash Blastoise. So then we can do Secret Sword. And then that's why Bengal here has the Fake Out, because with a Life Orb set and a Shell Smash up, Fake Out is doing the rest of the damage that Secret Sword is missing out on, so that we'll be able to take out the Blastoise. Unless Pony Island just does it all with Secret Sword and then has some HP left to do things that it wants to do. Air Slash is here for, I guess, the Tangela and for flinching if we need to do that in order to take care of a Mon better. And then Icy Wind is here because there are some ice weaknesses like Haxorus that we can go ahead and lower their speed and then revenge with, like, something else, mainly Hydreigon. So that is the team that we're rocking out with, so stick around for the battle. I'll be with you in just a little second. Here we are for the battle. If I sound like I'm not doing too great because I just got off of a run and oh my goodness, it's been a bit, but we're not here for that. We're here for the Week 7 battle against Dawson. So he brought his Gengar, his Bronzong, his Victini, Mamoswine, Haxorus, and Blastoise. No Torn T, so our Rock Slide is kind of a unneeded bring. There are quite a few Mons that do not appreciate Hydreigon. His first 3 are weak to it, as you can see, and then so is the Haxorus, so that thing has a pretty nice matchup here, as we saw. Oh, and we even have Flash Cannon for the Mamoswine. How cool. So, Melmetal also goes in. We just gotta set up our screens, hopefully get up our rocks, and we'll be good to go. You already saw the first part, so let's just, let's go. I just send out Infernape. Why am I calling you Infernape? You are Incineroar. I'm sending out Incineroar because when in doubt, you can Parting Shot. And then he goes out to Victini. I'm Scarfed, as you remember, so unless he is Scarfed, he's not going to be outspeeding me or doing anything. I didn't think that there was much he could do to me, really, considering that Victini's moveset is mostly physical, so I figured with the Intimidate up that it wouldn't be too bad to just go for a knockoff. So I start off with a knockoff. He wasn't expecting Scarf, he told me later, so that is actually really good for us to get rid of his Expert Belt, which means his super effective moves are just regular, and he has a very weakened Victini that cannot come in on rocks, so it'll be important to get up rocks after this. He sends out the Mamoswine, which I was planning to be Scarfed, and as it's faster than my Scarfed boy, it's time to get out on here. We go to Blissey, just to see what he might want to do, and then he goes for the knockoff, getting rid of our leftovers, which isn't great, but I mean, we still tanked the hit. I tried to Toxic it so that I could take its HP down, but then he goes out to Gengar, kinda reading that, plus the only move I have is Seismic Toss. So that might have been actually something I should have looked out for, but I could have at least gotten up my rocks at that point, I guess, but I was expecting, well, I guess if he's Scarfed, I don't know. I thought Toxicking was fine, but it wasn't. And then he subs onto my rocks. So now there is a very, very healthy Gengar behind a sub. At this point, I'm like, oh lord, help me. Somebody help me. I go out to Rotom because I figured maybe I can set up my screens or something, maybe even maybe I have to sack off something in order to bring in like my Hydreigon. So I figured Rotom probably goes down on one hit for a Shadow Ball, but then he sets up the plot. So now he's got a sub Gengar with a plot. I thought the game might have been over here, boys and girls. That's not good for me. Then he uses Sludge Wave, which kind of reveals his not his entire moveset, but he has the potential to have the Shadow Ball still, but since he used Sludge Wave, I'm guessing at this point that he does not, and it turned out that he didn't, as you'll see later. So he uses Sludge Wave, I set up the screen to mitigate some of his nasty plot. damage. He uses his Will-O-Wisp against me. I get rid of his sub with Volt Switch because I was pretty sure that my Volt Switch would do it. I think it did like 35% minimum or something. I get in the big boy Hydreigon so I can just start firing off Specs Dark Pulses. He switches out to his Blastoise, and I find out here that he is not indeed Shell Smash, and if he is Shell Smash, then he is one weird Shell Smash set that includes being bulky, which is really weird, but I'm fairly sure that he did not end up being Shell Smash at this point, which was just so relieving for me, because that was the big fear. Even though I did have the Keldeo, it's still a Shell Smash Blastoise, and that thing still eats lives. So at this point, I did end up going out to Keldeo anyway, just because I wasn't 100% sure that he wasn't going to be Shell Smashed. Since it's draft, you know, basic 252 sets aren't exactly what you're going to be seeing. And I just go out to Keldeo anyway. He uses Scald on me rather than Shell Smashing, so I'm fairly sure that he isn't Shell Smash at this point. Like, pretty much 100%. I used Scald here anyway because I figured the burn chip would probably be the best, but I really should have used my other move, Secret Sword, because that did more damage. But we got the burn there. And then he uses Roar to switch me out. I go to Melmetal, which in any other Mon, this would have been great. But my Double Iron Bash does not do a whole lot to him, doesn't kill him at all, and I don't want to be burned myself. So I go right back out into Keldeo because I don't really care if this thing gets burned. But he uses Rapid Spin on me, which means no more rocks, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. We use Secret Sword, it gets rid of 44% of his HP, and then he just dies to burn next turn. I believe he just Toxics me there, which isn't the best for me, of course. And Lefties, unfortunately for me, doesn't secure the kill, but Scald ends up doing it for us. He sends up the Zong, I go out to the Incineroar, thinking that he might be using a Psychic move on me, and he ends up Toxicking me, predicting that I would do that, which, I mean, in my defense, fighting doesn't really like Psychic. So at this point, I believe I tried to knock off, yeah I did, so that we wouldn't have to deal with a leftovers Bronzong. So that happens, and then I think he just Body Press kills me, which is unfortunate. Well, it didn't kill me, but the Toxic did. But I can just go right out into Hydreigon and fire off another Specs Dark Pulse. It's freaking dope. Victini comes out, and I just go out to Rotom because I'm very sure that he outspeeds me because this thing is a little bit faster than my Hydreigon. Kind of wish that I went Scarf, but didn't. So this is the position that we're in. U-turn does a little bit to my Rotom, and I figured that this is just Rotom's time to go down. Great time to see what Mamoswine would want to go for, so that I can switch in accordingly. He uses Icicle Crash, which takes out my Rotom, and then we go out to Melmetal, because I figured that a Bash would do pretty well, plus this thing was built to take on the Mamoswine, so no big deal at all. He goes out to Gengar. I just sub here because the plan, of course, if you remember, is to sub up on the Mamoswine, so he hits me with the Earthquake, I'm Shooka, and then I'm behind a sub. He uses his own sub, but my Double Iron Bash it one time, and then it takes extra damage off of it, so this Gengar's pretty much done, plus Sludge Wave, I mean, who cares? He could have tried to Willow, I guess. No, he couldn't. What am I saying? There's a sub. I'm an idiot. Goes out to Victini. He gets rid of my sub, but then I get rid of his Mon, so that's really nice for me. He goes out into the Mamoswine. I go ahead and still sub up. He somehow, I guess, knew that I was Shooka. I don't know how. Probably because I brought in this thing hard onto the Mamoswine. But I don't know. I end up getting my sub anyway. Although I guess I probably should have bashed. Because if I bashed there, then he would most definitely be dead. Huh. the things you learn after the battle's done, because you'll see here. Superpower ends up getting rid of my sub, and then I bash him. That was gonna happen no matter what. Then Haxorus comes out here. I try to bash him again, but he DDs, which spells like the end because he's faster than everything I have. My Dragon Resist is dead now, and one after another my team crumbles to the Haxorus. Just a little bit longer. And bye-bye High Dragon. So, great game to Dawson. Kinda sucks. I thought I was gonna win there, but it was a very close game. I still had a lot of fun, and at the end of the day, that's the important thing. Going back to that turn with the Mamoswine that I was just talking about. Let's see. So, Victini dies to that. Had I just said, screw it, let's bash him right here, instead of going for the sub and then getting my sub broken, I should have definitely bashed because I didn't need his defense to be -2 to knock him out. I did 140 minimum with double Iron Bash. So, I don't know exactly how much +1 Dragon Claw does to Haxorus. I'll go ahead and pull up the calc, just bear with me for a sec. So he got me down to 33. I'm just going back to this just to see how much he would have done at a +1. Well, actually, let's see how much he would not have done first. So, here's the calc. As you can see, double Iron Bash just barely misses out on the KO, and Outrage, let's change that to Dragon Claw real quick. Because I still had my Shuka intact, Earthquake would have only done 18 to 21 or 16 to 22 depending on the rounding up of Showdown. I don't really know what it is. So let's just say 18 to 21 for now. And let's say that he did end up Dragon Dancing, knowing that he'd live my bash. He would have done 27 to 32 back to me, and after I go ahead and bash again, I was at 33. So I guess unless he crit me with an Earthquake, that was GG. That's actually nuts. It comes down to it sometimes, boys and girls. That's just how it comes down to it. Man, that's the second time I decided to sub when I should not have. But here we are. We're living, we're learning, we're doing what we gotta do. I didn't calc out Haxorus at all when it came to this play. I just figured, you know, I'm Melmetal, I can double Iron Bash at herder. But it seems that that's not always the solution. You'd think I'd get that after 6 weeks prior, but it is what it is. We have 3 more weeks to get ourselves back up to having a positive record. My next opponent, I believe, is King Rucker, so that'll be a fun match, I'm sure. Go ahead and hit that like button if you liked the video. Subscribe if you have not already and you want some more of that Snowy Kurama goodness. Helps out the channel, helps me out. Love seeing all them numbers. Tickle that bell so you know when I'm uploading and all of that stuff. We got WPF and BRL Draft League content here on the channel. And with all that being said and more, this has been your boy, Snowy Kurama. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Wait. Don't roll that video yet. Don't roll that outro yet. I forgot to cover my free agent picks, or swaps, or however, my transactions, because I made some for the beginning of week 8, and I figured, I'll just tack that on at the beginning of the video, but I feel like it'd be better to just tack that on at the end of this one, because it's going into week 8. So, yeah, sorry about that. It's been a while since I recorded switches and stuff and forgot that I put it at the end, so here we are with that. I'm gonna go ahead and go through my thought process on how I got rid of the mods that I did and how I decided to pick what I did pick up. I didn't think I would need to make free agent switches because I didn't care all that much, but there are some Pokemon on my team that didn't come ever or a lot, and I could easily just switch it for something that the team really needed. So here we are with that. Speaking of mons that don't come ever, as I said earlier, this thing right here, Xatu. I thought it had a lot of potential. Its defensive stats aren't that bad. Well, if you invest in them, I guess. Its offensive stats and its speed, not too bad at all either for the speed tier that I needed. But Rotom does everything that Xatu does, but better, especially with more utility with Will-O-Wisp, and the fact that it does not need to run heavy-duty boots to switch in on some Stealth Rocks to not take a lot of damage. So I decided that Xatu needs to leave. I took a look at the tier 4s at 40 points, and not shit was there that I wanted. Nothing there could replace Xatu very well. Plus, if I replace Xatu, that is 2 types that I'm leaving, Psychic and Flying, and that's just not great. We need some ground resist. We need some Psychic as well. So I needed to go through my team and get rid of some other things. Next, I thought of was Whimsicott. Now, Whimsicott's been very useful in the past, but hasn't been recently because it doesn't hit hard at all. Its speed is really nice, which is great because it's the fastest thing on my team, and Prankster has been pretty awesome to have, but again, not something that I've been bringing a lot. Everything else has just looked a lot better for matchups, and I just didn't think I'd be bringing this thing. Plus, not bringing a grass type isn't great. Now, granted, I haven't been bringing Roselia a lot, but I feel like Roselia has a bit more use in the way I would like to use a grass type. So, we don't really need another one. And I'd like a better fairy that I'm more comfortable with using, so we had to get rid of that. And last but not least, I did not want to make this switch, but it was the only way that I was going to get the best mileage out of all of my switches, is getting rid of one of my top heavy boys, which includes Melmetal, Toxtricity, Keldeo, Hydreigon, and Blissey. Guess who had to leave? I'm upset that I had to get rid of Blissey, but it was the only way to do it. Plus, if I was going to want to bring on a fairy type that I'm more comfortable with bringing, then that includes some bulk, and the bulkiest thingy here is Blissey. Even though it does take lots of nice hits with its very fat HP stat, really, really good SpDef stat. I feel like a fairy type fills this role just as well, and gets rid of something on the team that I kind of would like to replace with more of a fairy type. So bye-bye, you guys. Bye-bye, you guys. Bye-bye, you guys. Now, here's what I'm replacing them with. So I've looked through the entire list, and the first thing that I thought of was, I need a flyer. I need a flyer. It needs to come on the team right now. Then I saw a bunch of different ones like Yanmega and Aerodactyl and others that I could not pick between, so then I went to my fairy. And I found this little budget fairy, and I don't really have much of a Mega yet. So welcome to the squad, Mega Audino. Mega Audino is pretty cool because it has these stats, pretty nice defense and special defense and HP. I also saw it used in the GTS, I believe Sean had it, and it has lots of nice special attacks, lots of good special coverage, like Ice Beam, our first Ice Beam user. We have Psychic as well, Shadow Ball, Signal Beam, Surf, Thunderbolt, Fire Blast, bunch of awesome coverage options, as well as many status options. Like it has Heal Bell. It's a nice cleric. Toxic and Thunderwave if we want to do that. It's got Wish, so Wish Protect options, which is really, really fun. I think I'm gonna enjoy using Audino. Shoutouts to Sean for the nickname as well. Decibel, it sounds cool. It's a nice little cute nickname. I really like it. Up next on the team, I thought about my psychic type, even though I did mention flying earlier. But again, I couldn't think of one, so I just looked throughout the whole list and I thought, my fastest mon now is Keldeo. That's not good. So I need to find something else that's fast, and that's a psychic type. I looked throughout the whole list and I thought, I have room for this guy right here. I got Espeon. Espeon's really, really nice because look at these offensive stats, 110 and 130 for speed and special attack respectively. It's not very bulky on the defensive side, but we just picked up Audino, so we'll be fine there. Plus we have Sandaconda and Melmetal, so we're not really missing out on a lot of physical bulk on the team. This thing is a very powerful psychic user, plus I just thought of this now, we're not losing our magic bounce ability, and I feel like Espeon's arguably a better magic bouncer just because it has some speed and stuff. I don't know. Espeon just seems better than Xatu in my opinion. We also have some fairy coverage on Dazzling Gleam. We have a Baton Pass option. We have Grass Knot and other coverage moves as well. We have our screen still on this mon. We have Quick Attack, so another priority option, I guess. Stored Power if we get boosts all the way up. I just think Espeon's going to be cool. I don't think I've ever used this thing in draft. The only other evolutions I've ever used in draft are Jolteon and Sylveon. So we're gonna add another one of them to my list with Espeon. I named this thing Carbuncle because of the summon in Final Fantasy. Just to name one, and it's probably there. 10, 7, I don't think 15. But yeah, that's our Carbuncle. We're gonna actually move him up to go right next to Bengal because we lost a tier 3 and we needed a tier 3. So that's that. And last but not least on the team, my psychic type. I couldn't think of anything, as I was saying earlier, until I found that I had 100 points left after this. Decibel was worth 60 and Espeon worth 80. So I had 100 points left over because Blissey gave me a lot of points to work with. So I looked through my tier 3s on the flying type front and decided to go with Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl gives us our last component we needed for really good speeds at 130 in base 105 attack. I used this thing in, I think, season 5 of the PDL, which has been the worst season of my life, but I think we more than made up for it so far in this season, and we're coming close to it in BRL, even though it's only been a week. But yeah, Aerodactyl's pretty cool. We have access to rocks and defog if that's where we want to go with this thing. We have really cool physical options with Crunch, Aqua Tail, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, and we have Hone Claws if we want to not miss Stone Edges and the like. Fast Taunter as well, which is cool. Tailwind if we want to do that. I just think we're gonna have lots of fun with this thing. Plus, it's a rock type. We didn't have a rock type before, and there was a matchup before where I definitely wanted a rock type. I think it might have been actually this week that I really wanted a rock type. Yeah, against Dawson, which is this video. Jawline is the thing that I named this thing because look at that jawline. Freaking perfection. Look at it. Look at it. This thing is a tier 3, I believe. So that is the new team. We have Carbuncle, Decibel, and Aerodactyl joining us. Do you guys think that I made some nice switches? Leave a comment down below if there's something else that you would have wanted to see on the team. And I guess with all of that being said and more, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Bye-bye.